Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are doing fine and amongst these very interesting circumstances that continue to be interesting in our world. But anyway, so today's video is about particular questions that INFPs regularly get asked that can peeve the INFP off a little bit because they're kind of annoying. So this video is both for the INFP to validate your experience and also for those who do have these questions about those who are INFP and who would like to ask them, but I've answered them for you, so you won't need to ask them. Now, if you caught on to the background track of this video, that is, of course, me, and it's a song I've written called Afterlife. It is a song about and awareness. Unfortunately, my husband had lost a close friend to him this year, at the start of this year, and this song came to us around the time of his funeral. So I just want to give a special shout out to Apera, who had mixed the song for me because I can't mix for shit. Now, Apera is one of my good friends and is also an incredibly talented musician himself. So I've linked in this video his music, and of course you can see it playing on the screen as well. Apera has done some songs in te reo Māori, which is really cool because it's totally different, and I think we want to bring more of those cultural elements out, especially living in New Zealand where te reo Māori is one of our main languages. So without further ado, let's just get on to this video, shall we? So probably the main one that I get asked is, why do you support the unpopular narrative, or why do you support the underdog, or why do you support this unpopular person, etc. So my dad and I actually had a discussion about this last night. He had come to visit me. I've actually done a podcast with him, which I'll link above. So him and I were discussing going against the grain, which I've also talked about in my previous video, and about how as a person, as an individual, or as an INFP, I literally cannot physically go ahead with something that I don't believe in. It doesn't matter how many friends I might lose or how unpopular I might become. If there is something that I believe in, I literally cannot go against that feeling. I have to roll with it. I have to do what is authentic to me, what my truth is. So this, of course, has so much to do with our introverted feeling. Our primary function for the INFP is introverted feeling, and it is that moral compass that we have to live by that moral compass. So you'll find many INFPs will do some what you might consider some strange things, or have some very interesting ideas, and it's all to do with what that person believes in. And we're all different, so just because one INFP might believe in something and another one might believe in something else, those are true for that individual. So for example, I actually came across this post in this INFP group the other day about how you can't actually be truly INFP if you support Trump. And you know what, again, this channel is not about politics. I'm not wanting to share my opinion about anything political here. Well, I have to say that many people across the world may disagree with Trump. There are INFPs who do support him, and they support him for whatever reason they support him. So it can be hard to fathom if you don't understand why they might support something that you don't believe in. So these are two separate INFPs going at each other with these two different narratives, completely opposite narratives, which can be a funny thing to witness because, of course, both of them completely 100% believe in what they believe. But another example I like to use often on this channel is Princess Diana, and she went against the royals and was a patron of more than 100 charities and highlighted issues in the UK that the royals didn't really want to acknowledge. She also brought to light other certain things in society that I don't really want to talk about on my channel because the algorithm doesn't like it very much. But there were some important people who didn't like what she represented. However, she did not care. She stood up for what she believed in. And that's what INFPs do. So the next one is, why are you so messy? It's because my executive dysfunction is really bad. No, but anyway, a lot of people, a lot of INFPs tend to be messy. Not every one of us, no, not at all, but many of us are. And a lot of people can't really fathom why. How can you live in your mess? How can you live within your clutter? Now, a study came out, I don't know how long ago, this has just come to my head just now, that showing that people who tend to be more creative are more messy. I guess it kind of goes to show that the INFP is more open-minded and doesn't really mind such what they may consider trivialities in their life, because there are far more important things to deal with, and the mess can wait. Those are for ESTJs. No, but in all seriousness, the INFP would rather focus on other things that make them happy, and mess doesn't tend to bother them so much because it's just at the bottom of their priority list. Many may say that it has to do with a weak extroverted thinking and introverted sensing. Could be true, because I find it quite hard to properly execute myself within my goals, because there's certain things I may be missing, which, cleaning your room is a very important element to that. So I'm certainly not implying that an INFP, through their creativeness, has some kind of perfection or something over somebody else when it comes to creativity and execution within their projects, if that makes any sense. But it may answer your question as to why they may be messy, just at the bottom of the priority list. Simple as that. And to be honest, I don't really notice mess all that much. I mean, I do. Sometimes it can bother me a lot. But I mean, I have ADHD as well, so it's just something that I tend to block out a lot. I'm like, oh, that's all right, it's messy. Another fun favourite is, why are you so sensitive? Oh, this one is probably my biggest annoyance, because I had it a lot through jobs that I've had, and people seen me in those jobs, unfortunately, because sensitivity is not synonymous with weakness whatsoever. But unfortunately, our society doesn't really see sensitivity as a strength. I mean, of course, there are a lot of people who do see sensitivity as a strength, and those are the people who talk about it, which is what I'm doing. So raising awareness for sensitivity. But we INFPs get a little bit annoyed when this is pointed out a lot to us, because it's something that we can't really help, because we are very open people. We are vulnerable. In order to create any kind of movement, you have to kind of be vulnerable. I mean, those of us who are creative, who are INFPs, who are empaths and highly sensitive people, the way that we go about understanding the world and trying to create impact comes from that sensitivity we have and that vulnerability that we have. Being open to every single possibility out there and reading between the lines takes an incredible amount of sensitivity and openness and vulnerability. There's also some of us who suffer from rejection sensitive dysphoria, and where we feel a little bit like imposters, and we suffer from imposter syndrome, which kind of comes under that. A lot of we INFPs aren't very egotistical, and we care about other people's comfort. Even though we may believe strongly in something, it may go against other people's values, we still respect, generally, we still respect others' values, and we don't want to go out of our way to make others uncomfortable. And this is very, very difficult in terms of conflict, because it's something that we tend to, when we're in, we tend to freeze and we don't really know. We're just so much in our heads, and it's very hard to let that go and to be able to respond favorably in those situations. But the sensitivity comes from a place of caring. It comes from a place of caring about other people, about wanting other people's voices to be heard, and for everyone to be respected. I think universally that's what I want. Another fun favourite of mine is, why are you so weird? Or why are you so unique? Or why are you so eccentric? I've suffered from social anxiety in my life. It's gotten a lot better, but during the time when social anxiety was at its peak for me, I had people saying to me, why would you colour your hair blue? I've mentioned this one. Why would you colour your hair blue if you don't want people to notice you, or you don't want to be at the centre of attention? And my answer to that, like, firstly, I was annoyed because it's just like, why do you assume that I'm doing this for attention, for one? And two, it's not about attention. So, I mean, I guess there was one point there. For me, it was never about attention. I did things to myself or expressed myself in a certain way because it was about self-expression. Yeah, it may have drawn certain attention here and there, but I couldn't help but to follow what I wanted to express. And it goes back to that first point I mentioned, that we will do things that feel right to us no matter anyone else's opinion, even if that means we lose support or we lose friends or we lose popularity. It's the same thing with how we express ourselves, and that can sometimes turn out kind of quirky and weird and strange. You know, I chalk a lot of that up to the fact that I don't really have many friends. You know, I am strange. I am very unique, and not everyone's going to see themselves around me, and that's perfectly fine. I completely understand that, and that's the one thing about me, is that I just can't change to suit anyone else's narrative. I just can't do it. And if that means I colour my hair blue and speak in riddles, well then so be it. That's who I am. Following along those lines is, why are you so intense? Now, my husband asks me this one all the time. Or he points it out. He's like, God, you're so intense sometimes, Lexi. And it's very true. I'm not a very humorous person. I can laugh. Like, I can joke around every now and again in the right company. And I have a weird sense of humor. But a lot of the time, I do seem to be quite intense or a little bit serious, especially when it comes to topics or things that I'm interested in or that I want to fix. It goes back to introverted feeling, where that INFP, with whatever they believe and whatever's in their moral compass, they're incredibly passionate about it. And this is where that INFP can create incredible pieces of art or some kind of movement. It doesn't really matter what that looks like. If that INFP believes in something strong enough, they will execute themselves in a way that is intense. Like, it's intense. For me, it's like YouTube. YouTube's a really good one. Or if I'm like discussing with James about things that I believe in, and I can get really deeply into a topic, and his mind gets blown. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up. Like, this is really intense. It's not that the INFP doesn't want to slow things down and have a laugh and make light of life and feel cruisy. It, however, has more to do with the fact that if that INFP is feeling something strongly, they need to express it. They need to engage with their extroverted intuition, and they need to execute those feelings that are inside. And the last one is, why are you so quiet? Well, why are you so loud? Joking, but anyway, the INFP is quiet because we're introverts, for crying out loud. We're introverts. Of course we're going to be quiet. But to answer your question, if you really don't understand much about the introvert tends to be quite socially aware, even though that kind of seems to not really fit. But what that an introvert will do, or that INFP, when they're in a social situation, they'll sit there and they'll observe everything that's going on, and they'll read every situation and read people's gestures and facial expressions and want to understand those social settings before they dive in, or before they feel comfortable enough to dive in and trust people. It's nothing personal. The INFP genuinely cares about people, but they do tend to be a lot more reserved in social situations because they simply know that they're pretty unique and quirky individuals, and because they won't act as someone they are not, they don't want to face rejection either. Like, no one wants to be rejected. So the INFP is going to hold back a lot in social situations, and that's just to protect themselves and to also get to know other people before they go jumping in. So I hope that this video answers some very universal questions regarding the INFP, so that you don't really have to bring this up with the INFP in your life, because most likely it's probably gonna rub them the wrong way a little bit and annoy them. It's annoyed me in the past. But for now, I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you guys are wherever you guys are in the world, and I'll see you guys all again for the next video. Bye.